Hello and welcome. This is Mouse Gunner, and I'm back with some more Hearts of Iron 4. There has been a brand new DLC launched, Together for Victory, and a corresponding patch that has gone along with it. And as a result, I will be starting a brand new playthrough series. Now, I've stated my dissatisfaction with the game so far. Even after a few patches, there are still a lot of things wrong with the game. And taking a look at the patch notes and what's been added into this DLC, I'm hoping that a lot of those things have been addressed. Now, the AI was a big problem when the game was launched, and it has been fixed progressively over the last few patches. The last patch, I think, doing the most good. And there has been mention of some more AI improvements, so hopefully that has gotten even better. But my main complaint in my last playthrough series was the way that partisan activity worked and the way that garrisoning troops really struggled to deal with that partisan activity. So that was one thing mentioned in the patch, so hopefully that has been fixed. And because this is a new DLC, there are new gameplay mechanics. So let's go ahead and take a look at that as we come in here. So we're going to have our January 1st, 1936 start. And there are a number of nations that have now gained their own national focus tree, which is something I expected to happen with the next DLC, because outside of the main nations already listed here, most other nations outside of just Poland here had just a very generic national focus that was pretty much the same regardless. So I really did expect them to change that and add on more nations with tailored national focuses, but I didn't really expect this to be the first area that they would address, which is all of the Commonwealth nations. So you have the Dominion of Canada, you have Australia, you have New Zealand, you have South Africa, and you have the British Raj. There is also some other gameplay mechanics that have been added in that we'll talk about as we launch in here. Now, I'm thinking about starting as India, and we're going to try and do a campaign that's just a free India campaign to play around with the new mechanics and all of that. But some other nations I think that would be pretty interesting to play as would be South Africa and Australia. But for now, I think we're going to start with the British Raj. So what does the British Raj have going for it? Well, it's an agrarian society, so recruitable population has a big penalty. And then we also have princely states, which daily autonomy progress gain is reduced. And autonomy is one of the newer features. And we also have an idea of what our focuses are going to be. So we're going to go ahead and select this country. I'm just going to go with regular difficulty, and we're going to start with the historical AI focus, just so that we can, kind of predict things and just play around with the new mechanics. So let's just hop right into things. All right, now that we've loaded in, we can talk about the big thing that has been added into this game, and that is the Commonwealth nations and the way that they interact with their overlord, the British Empire. So if we take a look at the British Raj here, we see this new feature here. And right now it's listing as a colony. So this is our progress towards autonomy. So as we gain autonomy points, which are the little pawn symbol, if we get up to 1,000 points, we'll upgrade to the next level. So we'll turn from a colony into a dominion. So some of the other nations, I did a little bit of poking around, and I had to start with South Africa just to see how the mechanic worked a little bit. South Africa starts as a dominion, so they're a little bit further along in this autonomy chain than we are. Now, if we click on another Commonwealth nation like Australia, we see where they are. So they're Dominion, and we already talked about how that's a level above us. And we can also see how many points or how many autonomy points they need to progress to the next level. Now, I don't remember exactly what level is above Dominion, but as you go through this chain, you eventually will get to a point where you can more or less get your independence from England. So that's more or less what's been added on, at least as far as I am aware. And as far as getting autonomy here, we already know that we're getting negative points here due to that one modifier, the princely states. There are other ways that we can modify that, and that's mostly in the national focuses, which is another big addition for us as we now have our own national focus tree. Having already taken a little bit of a look at this focus tree, I know that one way that we can start improving autonomy is through this chain of events here. Now, unfortunately, we start off the first step actually making it worse. We change that princely state modifier from negative 0.1 to negative 0.3, so that's actually making it worse. But eventually we can get to a point down here where we get positive 0.4, which is get us started in a positive direction. If we go the other way, because these two are mutually exclusive, we can go down this event. Now, we would have at first this particular effect that would make it even worse, but then if we come here, we get daily autonomy progress gain of a full point. So that would overcome some of the negatives we're seeing here to give it a positive eventually. So there are ways to get our autonomy into a positive direction, but it's going to take time. And unfortunately, we cannot choose this focus right out the gate because we need to wait until world tension is at 10%. Now, we do get some autonomy points by doing this to offset the reduction daily that we'll have. So hopefully we can go down this chain. Now, from what I've seen, if we want to go with a free India policy, probably the better course of action is to go in this direction. And then at this point, we can do one of two things. We can support Germany or we can support the Soviet Union. At which point, we'll start getting us in the direction, I believe, to gain our independence. Let's see here. So this would start reducing democratic support and unaligned support and give us a little bit of political power as well. And then seek help from the Soviet Union would do what? It would give us communism support, daily autonomy, another thing that we'd need, and okay. And then Germany would do pretty much the same thing, just, fascism rather than communism. And then after that, if we do this, we'd have a civil war for our independence if we go the communist route, or if we go the nationalist route. It just says Indian National Army. I don't really know what that means. Maybe that's a little bit of a non-completed description there, but maybe it's more or less the same thing here. We'd have another civil war. So we'd have to fight for independence this way. Now, I haven't looked too much into this particular route, but I'm assuming this route is the route that you would take if you wanted to support England rather than go against them, which is something that we are really not looking to do. This is new. Huh. I've never seen this before. This looks like some kind of bonus that you get for racking up focuses. I'll have to see how that works. This is something new. I don't remember this. In any case, let's go on to some of the other focuses we have. Now, as I said, we can't start this chain here until we get enough world tension. So we're going to have to wait on that. We know the world tension will come out eventually, so just be patient. So we have lessons of the Great War, which is going to start reforming our military. So that's the same kind of thing we've seen in the past. And then we have the Great Indian Peninsula Railway, which is going to start reforming our industry, economy, what have you, which is, again, similar to things that we've seen in the past. I think we go ahead and do the economy-focused or industry-focused choices for now. So if we do this, we gain some infrastructure. And then after that, we'll just have to evaluate which way we want to go. So we have further infrastructure or added factories and things like that. So let's go ahead and do this one. And really, we don't have a choice until we get the world tension up high enough. 10% is really not that high, and I suspect once the Spanish Civil War happens, which will happen at some random time, more than likely in 1936, we can start that event. Depending on how the Italian war with Ethiopia goes, we'll see some world tension. And then, of course, Germany remilitarizing the Rhineland, which I think is usually one of the first focuses they go for, is another thing that we can help get that world tension up. But for the meantime, we're going to actually be reducing our autonomy gain, unfortunately. Now, from what I've seen of this, there are other ways to affect autonomy, and it looks like a lot of that has to do with your relationship with your overlord. If you're getting lend-lease from them, I'm going to assume that reduces your autonomy because you're favoring them more than yourself. If we lend-lease to them, I'm not sure which direction that would take the autonomy. Maybe even make it positive, and then so on. You get the idea. but we see a number of things that could be modifiers in the future. So we'll have to see about that. And then let's go ahead and do our research. So we only have 2 slots. So that's going to be a little bit of a problem for us, but not too surprising. And at the moment, we have some 1918 text. I think as per normal, I'm going to focus on industry and engineering related things. We do have a 5% bonus, looks like there. At least I'm assuming that that's what that means. Let's go ahead and get the mechanical engineering. It's only going to take 90 days as opposed to 142 days. So I think that's pretty quick. And it gives us a research bonus in the future. And then over here, I think, why don't we go ahead and do the production? So that's going to give us a 5% production cap, efficiency cap. So we'll go ahead and do that. And that's pretty much, I think, all we need to do. So let's go ahead and start at fast speed here. And work things. Oh, actually, no, we have to set up our factories. I almost forgot. So we've got free civilian factories. So at this point, we don't have that many civilian factories. So I figure we want to keep building those up. Now, we don't have a lot of room for improvement until we start really upgrading our economy overall. So what I think I'm going to do is anywhere that doesn't have a factory yet. So like this and this and this. And I think I'm going to add a factory here. And we have this region here. And this region. And this region. We'll build civilian factories. And then we might build more military factories later. And as far as our military and dockyard production, let's go to that. Now, it's been a while since I've played, so I'm probably going to be a little bit rusty here and there. So we have 1 free naval dockyard. Probably at this point, convoys is the wiser move for us. That will allow us to transport troops around and also trade with other nations. So I figure let's get more of those getting produced. And then as far as our military factories, I'm not really sure what we need. I'm going to assume we don't really need much in the way of support equipment. At least that's my assumption. We don't have the ability to do any armored vehicles. We can build aircraft, but I don't know if that's the wisest move right now. I think we just focus on continued production of infantry equipment. We're going to be really behind the technology curve, so this is going to be pretty challenging. But I think also where we are in the world might give us kind of an open hand. The main threat to us would probably be Japan, depending on how successful they are over here in China. So that is one thing they're going to keep an eye on. I feel like they've also changed the map over here, although I don't really focus too much on the east over here, but I have a feeling that these smaller states didn't necessarily used to exist. I'm almost a little bit curious of these. I mean, they might have been there, and it's just maybe my the time it's been since last I played that I just don't remember this stuff, or the fact that I've never really focused in the east here that I don't remember it. But yeah, we're going to be keeping an eye out. Like, for instance, if we go with an expansionist route, if we ever manage to get our independence, we can maybe absorb nations like Nepal, Afghanistan, Tibet, Siam, depending. A lot of that depends on events. For instance, if Siam goes fascist, like they tend to go in other playthroughs I've done, and maybe we go pro-Comintern, we may have the option of going after Siam and capturing them in the future. In any case, let's go ahead and continue now that we have... we have no divisions in basic training. How much manpower do we have? We have 229,000, which isn't too bad. It's not saying we have low manpower. So let's take a look at what troop divisions we have. So we've got an armored division. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Interestingly enough, there are light tanks in that setup, which I find strange considering that I don't think we have the technology for it. Maybe that's just set up ahead of time and we eventually got the tech. See, yeah, we don't have the tech to even build tanks, so we'll have to see there. In any case, I feel like we have really no choice other than do these Indian divisions. Now, we could do, like, a less trained one, like a reserve division that would be easier to draw up. But I think for now, can we add any divisions? We can add on divisions if we had the army experience to do so, but or companies, I should say. All right. Let's go ahead and just train these guys. I'm just going to do one. And location set. We'll set them a location just so that we know where they're going to be popping out. Do we put them in the capital of Delhi or do we put them somewhere else? I'll put them in Delhi. Why not? I don't know if that puts them anywhere useful, but at least we'll know where they are. So, location, and there we go. All right, now we're ready to go. Let's go ahead and progress time here. And hopefully we can get things done. The British Raj start's going to be difficult just because of how far behind we are in technology. But again, if we take advantage of neighbors around us, they'll probably be at the same level that we are at. And if we can rely upon somebody like the Soviet Union, which I think that's the way I'm going to go, as far as my game plan goes, at least at this initial point, I'm going to go with the seek help from Soviet. I mean, that is... India did eventually kind of go pro-communist later, much later. And as a matter of fact, the relationship with India and the United States was not the best in the 70s. And I think, if I remember correctly, the United States was actually pro-Pakistan because of India's communist leanings in that period of time. Now, obviously, again, that's in the future from now, but, you know, that was the leaning that India had for some time, was more a pro-communist one. What kind of airplanes do we have here? So we've got some close air support that we could build more of if we wanted to. But for now, I just figure we focus on our infantry and we build that up. Because one factory is not going to produce much in the way of air power for us. And mostly we're just waiting to get through our focuses. And as a matter of fact, let's take a look at what Germany is up to. So they're on the Rhineland one, so I kind of figured that. Now, I don't think that's only going to bring up the world tension by maybe like 2% or something. We can also take a look at Ethiopia over here and how Italy is attacking into it. So far, they haven't really made much in the way of gains. As a matter of fact, they've lost territory over here, which is strange. Now, I've seen the AI struggle with the Ethiopia campaign in the past, so we'll have to see if that is indeed the case here. Another thing that I think has changed is the way that you draw up battle plans for front lines. Let's do a... Oh, we have to select a unit before we do that. All right, so I want to build an army here. And let's just pause it really quick while I contemplate, or we'll go on slower speed. Let's say 2. All right. We only have a few generals to choose from, none of which are, what is the word? The level above that, you promote them to a field marshal, right? All right, so we've got Panzer Leader. That doesn't help us much. Hills could help us. And Desert Fox. I think Hills probably is more relevant to our terrain. I'm noticing that our leader as well as our officers are British, it appears. Which I think there is one of the focuses to kind of change that up so that you actually have Indian officers. All right, so now that we have that, let's just go ahead and assign all of the troops to that army because we have only 11 divisions right now. And we might as well set these guys to train, which is here. Yep, exercise. And I'm noticing that the interface here is a little bit different, but if we were to draw up some things... Yeah, see, I don't remember Spearhead. I mean, maybe that's just me not remembering, but... Yeah, I think they've added some things on that, onto your overall planning and things like that. I'm not really ready, I think, to set up any front lines or anything, but that's something we're going to have to mess around with. Let's go ahead and speed up time again. And as far as the color goes, let's go with maybe orange here. All right. So we have all our divisions in a single army group, And they're exercising to give us some army experience, which should help us in the future. It will drain the unit strength, which looking at this honestly wasn't that high. Probably some of that has to do with I'm trying to remember. Yeah, here. So we need a lot of reinforcements. We could give a high priority to that, so that more of our equipment is going to reinforcing our troops because of the unit strength reduction, rather than training new units. So we'll continue with that. And in production, we need 7,000 infantry equipment if we want to. All right, so we're almost done with our focus. Okay, so we just had the remilitarization event, which is, a historical. That did bring up world tension to 2%, which is what I remembered. Now, we just finished our focus, which should give us some infrastructure. So now that we've done that, I think we keep focusing on the industry stuff. So I would I think factories would be where I'd want to go, but we have the East India Railway, which also gives us infrastructure. Let's just kind of see which way would be the best way to go. I mean, if there's research slots, I'm also going to want those, which we have here. And it looks like to get that, we want to go this way. So the fastest route to a research slot is over here, and then we have another one over here. But we can't gain that until we're fully independent. As a matter of fact, let's see if there's any roadblocks to that. So Tata Steel. Okay. So none of those have restrictions. And then this doesn't have restrictions. We just need both of these to be able to do this. So we do that. We do both of these. Then we get our research slot, and that will help us along. I don't think... So that would help a little bit. We need more autonomy to be able to do this. So we're not really able to do any of these things yet. And what does this do? More autonomous than colony, so we can't do this. We'd have to be at least Dominion status. Risk of famine. Is that the agrarian thing? Oh, they didn't tell us about this before. The Indian system of food production is very fragile. Even a small interruption might cause a collapse. Then we also have marginalized Muslim community. Again, another thing that they didn't mention before we started this, but national unity has a minus 10% modifier, so we're at 60%, although normally we'd have 70. And then recruitable population factor, minus 20%. So we have an even bigger problem with recruitable population until this goes away. Now, I did notice that there was a way of reducing or removing that through our focuses, but for now, I didn't select one, did I? Nope. Okay. Let's try that again. So we're going to do industrial expansion. Start. And that does give us a civilian factory, which should help. And then we do Tata Steel, which gives us just some steel. That's good. And then we get some oil. As a matter of fact, I haven't taken a look at our resources. So right now, we are surplus, 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 surplus. Good. Main thing that we're probably a little low on is aluminum. And honestly, it would have given me a pop-up if we were in a deficit with any of those anyway. So that's fine. How is our economy set up? We are on a export focus, and we have a civilian economy volunteer only for our conscription. So if we wanted more manpower, that's one thing we can change. I'm probably going to, if I get enough points, I'm going to probably get somebody to move us toward communism so that we can get there a little bit quicker. Unless we have something in here that gives us more autonomy, because that is the new mechanic, and it might be in here somewhere. I didn't see it, but doesn't mean it's not there. So that's just national unity. Okay, so again, Not seeing autonomy here. Okay. I would assume that it's nothing. None of these would do that. Because those are all... Okay, we just got research. So let's hop in and do some more research. So we can continue on to these, as these are also part of 1936. So I figure we do mechanical computing because that's going to give us even more research time bonuses. I kind of wonder with this 5% technology sharing with the United Kingdom. So anything that we got a bonus here, we get because of the commonwealth status. So that's interesting. I did kind of notice we had a bonus to tank research if we wanted to, like 25% here. Oh, is it the more Commonwealth members that have it, the more the bonus is? That would be pretty cool. Like, for instance, this here, there's 4 members, 20%. We go here, 5 members. I think it's 5% per. Okay, so the more Commonwealth members get a particular technology, the more of a bonus we'll get if we research it ourselves. So that's pretty interesting and maybe something that we can take advantage of. So maybe we hold off on this until more of our allies have it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to research something that a number of nations already have. Just trying to see what that would be. I mean, outside of tanks, which, you know, the other side of it though is you get the bonus, but then you have to wait until the other empires do it, right? So, You know what? I'm going to go with this one. Construction speed. No, I lie. I'm going to go research. This is always the best way to go. Get that bonus up. All right, well, that was interesting. That's something that we learned there, is that being a Commonwealth nation actually gives you a little bit of a research bonus. The more nations that have something, the better. As long as you are Commonwealth, which is we're going to try and move away from as soon as possible. And moving along here, what is Germany working on now? I don't think they're going to be working on anything that's going to, improve the tension. As a matter of fact, the tension's already gone down a little bit. How's the Ethiopian campaign going? Okay, so the Italians are making positive progress here now. And there isn't really anything else going on in the world at the moment until the Spanish Civil War strikes. So we'll just be patient here. And it's getting close to a point where I think we can wrap things up. So let's go ahead and put a cut. Oh, I was about to say let's go ahead and put a cut in the video, but then the Spanish Civil War just happened. So that did increase world tension, maybe? Only very slightly, though. So let's take a look at that really quick before we put a cut in the video. So, yeah, the Spanish Civil War just happened. And we'll have to see how this goes. Now, most of the instances I've seen, the nationalist Spain wins, but I've seen the Republican Spain win before as well. So we'll just have to see. It's not guaranteed which way it will go. In any case, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.